Welcome everybody to the Sports Lounge. Hey, we want to thank you guys for hopping on here on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Mikey, the chosen one is not here with us, but we do have another man, obviously right next to me. We have Dice Will here again, once with us, and we got, of course, the wonderful Sarai down at the bottom, and she's not dealing with a wonderful Wednesday. Being from where she's from, she's dealing with a wet Wednesday. That is for sure. Um, but we want to thank everyone for hopping on here this great day, and we want to first let's hop right into our sponsors. Let's start there. I mean, we have, of course, the mobile brand and the Diamond Collection. Just hit them up at poweredbytmb.com. Put in the Sports Lounge Media, and you receive 20% off your orders. Then we also have number one sports fan located here in Tulare, Visalia, and Hanford, along with West Covina down in Los Angeles. And Brian Martino Construction. Hit up Brian Martino at Brian Martino Construction and mention the Sports Lounge to him, and any job over $10,000, he will give you $1,000 off. And last but not least, of course, we have Cali Built Graphics, who take care of all of our needs for our shirts, hats, everything like that. And don't worry, y'all. Decals are being made as we speak, so we should have those here to start going out to those that request them. But hey, so let's get right into this, right? How are you guys doing today? First, let's start that.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Like you mentioned, I do live in the state of Texas. We are experiencing a ton of flooding. Of course, from SLM, just want to say that our hearts go out to all those that have lost loved ones in the flooding, and those that are just experiencing an overall loss. And so I just wanted to say that my hearts go out to all those here in Texas. We are experiencing a lot of rain and water and flooding in all parts of Texas, right? So I just kind of wanted to start there and just let everyone know that our hearts go out to y'all. But I am doing great. I'm doing great.
We've got Marshall actually already hopping in. Wednesdays, which means Hump Day, which means SLM Day. That is true, brother.
I think you need to do that again in Mikey's.
I don't have the energy that he has.
Day.
Yeah, he has
SLM
Day. And when it's Hump Day, it's SLM Day.
Yeah, I do not have the energy that brother has. That is for sure. Hey, but so obviously those of you guys that are on here and also that are going to be following on the restream and everything like that, we talking about MLB. Major League Baseball is here. This is my favorite season besides for Tennessee football, actually anything Tennessee. But we are coming up to the All-Star break, which is next Tuesday. And, this is going to be one of our big topics for me. I mean, people think like, we just had a meeting and everyone's like, oh, well, this is a dead zone time for sports. I'm like, I don't know what you all talking about. I'm like I told them in our meeting, I watched 4 baseball games yesterday. I'm like, I don't care who's playing. If baseball's on, I'm on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey,
as long as the Phillies are playing, I'm with you, Mark. I'm out there catching a game.
I don't care. I just love me some baseball. I mean, I spend all day talking about it, and everyone's like, dude, do you watch anything else? I'm like, baseball season. It's baseball.
It's baseball, so that's what he's gonna watch.
Exactly. Hey, let's hop right into this show and what do we got going on?
Yeah, so a couple things. My first question for you guys is what are your thoughts on ABS? For those of our viewers that don't know what ABS is, it's automatic balls and strikes, or known as robot umpires, MLB, All-Star, and the future. What does that mean to you guys? What are your thoughts, opinions? Let's talk about ABS.
Dupree, what do you got?
Well, for ABS, as long as it doesn't go into, well, it may go into it years later, but go into the actual players being just robots and hitting the ball, you never know what could happen. AI is taking over everything, as you can see, and now we got umpires, but it's not like NFL refs where we know the ref is done it for X amount of years. Like, we know there's an umpire, but we'll never know him by name. Like, they'll never post like such and such has been umpiring for X amount of years and umpired the All-Star game for X amount of years. So it's kind of like not known that much. So like we'll see if it changes into being the pitcher or an outfielder or something like that. But right now, I don't think it like really affects. Well, like for me, it doesn't really affect that much. I still watch baseball, but not to that degree. If I used when I used to watch it as a kid, but still, like it could affect other people. But I don't see that much effect to it.
What do you think, Soraya? What do you think about using robots? Because it's not per se robots. It's a robotic system, is what it is. So basically, using how I can use NFL as replays. Okay, was this a catch? Was the big thing that that I see is just it's using that official a set strike zone, which is actually where Major League Baseball has in the handbook. If you actually look in the rule book of where it states that it's actually right there at the center of the kneecap, going to the center of the chest. And unfortunately, when you're watching a game, it is not even close to that. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So funny thing is, when I first started reading that, I did automatically think like robot on the field, like he's like, you're out, kind of thing. But I think we're still going into like, I think we are moving towards that in the future, and I think it would be great. I know that it would have like more purpose in like knowing the strikes, knowing without having to have like double takes and have different opinions on it. So I also think there might be a failure in the system at some point, right? Because it's not ever guaranteed. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I see pros and cons to it all around, but I think we're all moving into that direction where robots is a new thing. AI is a new thing. So that's just kind of my opinion on that.
See, for me, I'm old school. I spent many years umpiring between high school, college games, everything. I never had the opportunity to umpire, any type of major league, minor league, or anything like that. College is still pretty enjoyable to umpire. But I was straightforward. People would always tell me, and I still deal with it this day. It's like you were always consistent. That's all that mattered. It might not be consistently right, but it was always consistent. I'm just like, well, this is what I would give a person. And so I've always kept my strike zone in a certain location. I'm like, look, I'll give, because of coming from a guy who's had his hand broke from a baseball, I never gave in to that inside pitch, but I also made sure, but I'll give you a little bit extra on that outside, and so that for me, like, you're not going to have that human error anymore. But that's what we're seeing, and they are going to officially release it here at the All-Star game in Atlanta next week. So it's going to be interesting to see what we have, because yesterday I was watching, in one of the games I was watching, I cannot recall which game it was, but the count was 0-2, no balls, 2 strikes, and next thing you had 3 pitches that were clear as bell, they were strikes, but the umpire managed to screw up so bad he called them all balls. I'm just like, dude, that is literally over the plate.
Yeah.
Like, what are you freaking blind?
Right.
But people they're getting themselves distracted, and for me, I just feel taking out the human error also takes out the human factor of, can a game get turned around because of a situation? Unless if it's some type of an algorithm that can basically help one team cheat over the other, but you can sit there and show the flaws. Now, my personal opinion, when I've umpired, we were critiqued because they got, we would actually have the games recorded. So this way we were able to critique what, your efficiency, which Major League Baseball does do that.
Right.
They look at the efficiency of how, but to me, it's like, dude, if you are a Major League Baseball, if you're an MLB umpire and you cannot get 97% of your calls correct, you need to start either your first step is you're getting demoted to where you're doing nothing but field games, because as an umpire, you get paid at a different scale for behind the plate and versus out in the field. Same thing like when you're in the outfield. World Series, they run more umpires in the World Series than they do in the regular season.
Got it.
But the farther you are, that's why you see everyone rotate. You never see the same home plate umpire every game. Everyone just rotates around. Well, if you, like I said, to me, it's like, no, you need to start holding the umpires accountable. Stop trying to make this where, we need to do this to take out the human error. No. You just need to hold them accountable. If they suck, get rid of them. That's what happens with head coaches.
Right.
Head coaches and it's not even them. The quarterback might suck, You might have, when you look at the NFL, you might have no wide receiver help. All of a sudden they're losing. Is it the head coach's fault? No, it's because you don't put a team around them. Who's the one to blame? The head coach. It's not the quarterback. Even though the quarterback might have thrown 30 some interceptions on the season, same concept. I mean, I'm a huge Nolan Ryan fan. Okay. He's one of the oldest Major League Baseball players to ever play in the game. He was 47 years old when he retired, spent 27 years in the majors. But he holds the Major League record for 5,714 strikeouts in his career. Okay. But he also holds the Major League record for the most walks in a career.
Right.
So, I mean, that was one of the things that we were talking about last week on the show with injuries. Well, we're starting to see, 12 pitches. You got guys that are having, 6-7 pitch arsenals compared to the 90s and 2000s where you had your basic four seam. You had to worry about four fingers. That was it. Now they're having to use all this robotics to call the pitches so people can't steal signs. Man, that's what made baseball so unique. It's like it was you put the best versus the best.
Yeah.
And when you take out that human error, you no longer have the best. And so to me, I'm not a fan of the whole using robotics, using any type of technology for calling balls and strikes. But I do like the idea of allowing to challenge a ball and strike.
Mm-hmm.
The batters, I know right now currently in the minor leagues, they're allowing them to challenge a pitch. If they're called, if it's called a strike, I'm just like, no, hold on, let me tap the top of my head, top of my helmet, and they go back and goes into a review real quick, and they just confirm it with this technology that they're going to be implementing going into the All-Star game.
Okay.
So I'm for that. You are allowed your team is allowed so many challenges on a bad pitch or a good pitch that some might be, because it's only the batter. The pitcher is not allowed to challenge that. That's the catch. It's like, hold on, you just call a strike or you just called a ball a strike, or vice versa. Well, the batter's only going to challenge the strike calls. He's not going to challenge the ball calls because it's a freaking ball.
Right.
So it's like, well, you're allowing the batter to challenge things. Why don't the pitchers get to challenge something?
Yeah, that makes sense. Does it allow for error though within the system? Do you think? Is it?
No, as of right now, there has been. All it does, it goes straight back to the booth, and just like if you're watching Major League Baseball on Fox on Saturdays or whatever, how it shows the pitching frame. There's your box. That's what it is. Well, they need to show a 3-dimensional version because your pitch can start out of the zone, and and this is the catch. This is where umpires are struggling with. It is not where the catcher catches the ball. It's where the pitch crosses the plate.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, no, hold on. Was this a cross at this plate? Now where's it at looking at straight here? Realistically, it should take like 5-10 seconds max. You usually see those calls in minor leagues. It's about, like I said, about 5 to 7 seconds. And I'm all for that.
How many challenges are they going to have? Because I think that would be weird if you're like challenging every time.
You're allowed. I do not know that answer. I do know that they've talked about limiting that like 1 per inning. But it's like if you're the first batter and it's like, dude, let me challenge this right off the bat. Well, guess what? Batter 2 and 3 gets smoked because of he already challenged it right away. So I do believe they're going to try and implement something along the lines like, okay, you can only use it in the later innings. Baseball's trying to change the rules right now, and we've seen bases get bigger. We've seen the pitch clock come into effect. Now they're trying to bring this. I'm all for change because, and I've always stuck by this saying, change is not always good, but it is always going to be inevitable. It's always going to happen.
Right.
I'm not a fan of it. I used to get upset. You yourself being a Phillies fan, National League never used to run a designated hitter. People are like, well, we never did that in the National League. It's not allowed in the National League. Actually, no, it was allowed, but it just had to be agreed upon between both managers at the beginning of a game. Now it's just implemented straight across the board. To me, I think they need to take out the Shohei rule. I can't stand the fact is that Shohei Ohtani can be listed as a pitcher and he's hitting, but when he gets taken out of the game as a pitcher, he gets switched into the designated hitter.
Right.
And someone takes over that spot as the pitcher. It's like, no, hold on. How is this working out? I mean, so baseball's making a change because at the end of the day, it is business. They are trying to find what's going to be best for business. But to me, I think this is going to be a heartbreak for business. I also think, the whole, I love that they can challenge calls. But the extra innings rule, starting a runner at second base, 78% of both fans, and they've done a major poll, 78% of fans, both minor fans, major fans, also along with major league players, have ruled that they do not like the new extra innings rule where they have someone starting at second base. I'm like, I can give you first base. I'm all for giving, hey, we're going to start with a runner at first, not at second. That's like in the NFL. I mean, you think of college. With college extra, when they go into overtime, it's like, okay, every person has a chance. And then once it goes into double overtime, come up with a rule like that where, okay, we're starting at the 20-yard line. Now we're going to, it's like, dude, just start having field goal competitions.
Yeah, correct.
35, 40, 45, 50, keep on going until someone misses. That's where, to me, switch it over. Go ahead and let that thing stay as, as a runner at first, not this whole second base putting in, at the beginning.
Right.
So to me, that's what's wrong it. But I do think that it's a good and a bad thing, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. I do see both points to that. So yeah. So I was just thinking that we're about to go into All-Star baseball, right? And we have about, I think, going into 4 games right before the All-Star break, right? So we do have a lot of like leaders on the board as far as teams is concerned. So I am just wondering, do you guys think those first place teams, and we could talk about who the first place teams are if you'd like, but do you think they're going to stay at that first place team, or are they just going to maybe move to second? How do you feel placement's going to be? Want to talk a little bit about who our first place teams are?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and list those out. So as of right now, we've got the in the American League, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays with a 3-game lead. Nice. We've got the Detroit Tigers with a 13.5-game lead. Wow. And the Major League Baseball's best record. We've got the Houston Astros at 6.5 games over the Mariners. In the National League, we've got your Philadelphia Phillies, a half game over the New York Mets. The Cubbies with a 2-game lead over the Brewers, and we got Los Dodgers 5 games over the Giants as of right now. Okay. So what do you guys think? Do you guys, I like that question actually. Do you think a second half team can surge, or do you think these are going to pretty much stick around?
I think it all depends on who plays who, because it's always a matter of a competition.
Mm-hmm.
And how you play, because like every time it can always change. It's just like football, just like everything else. You have one like few good games, and then it's back up to like 57-43 or 54-37 right now with the Cubs. They could end up having and get to 60. So like you really never know. I mean, the Cubs have always been bad, but you never know. Things could change.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies are hot to me still, so I don't see them moving too much as far as placement's concerned. They've just kind of been, despite what we're going to talk about, the walk-off. But yeah, I think the Phillies are doing a great job. I think they're a pretty good caliber team still before the All-Star break.
Yeah, see, for me, the one that I think that can change the most is that American League East, because you've got the Blue Jays with a 3-game lead. Yankees are right there in second. Tampa Bay is 4 games back, and Red Sox are 6 games back. So you've got 4 teams that are all above 500 in 1 week. If Toronto, I mean, we can use Mike's Dodgers, who's currently sitting in first. They've lost 6 games in a row. Well, guess what? If Toronto goes on a 6-game losing streak, and along with some other teams, I mean, you can see Boston moving up into first place. I mean, so I think
there wasn't that much of a gap right there, especially with that league.
So to me, that one is definitely you're gonna see a second half surge, and I think it's actually gonna be probably. I think the Yankees are gonna do something, and I do think the Rays are gonna do something. Toronto is gonna fall off. Toronto, I mean, that they're just gonna be the second half Toronto Blue Jays. They are going to just bye. They're forgetting what it was like to win. Um, we've got the mogul saying the Dodgers, yes, they will stay in first place. And he's also being delusional, thinking that Detroit, who has the best record in baseball, is going to drop out. I'm sorry, man. 13 and a half games at the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's a lead.
Just like, dude, you can take 2 weeks off, and on the run differential, you got 108 runs. They've scored 108 more runs than their opponents. There's only one team that is actually higher than them, and it's actually the Chicago Cubs at 119. So the Cubbies are putting up some runs, and they're not doing, the Dodgers with their 6-game losing streak because they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. They're squeaking by, but it's just because the Giants and the Padres both are managing to sit there and suck at the exact same time.
Right.
And
but only being 5 games away, it still could come up.
Yeah, but when you look at it, the Giants have gained 2 games in the last 10 days. But when you're looking at like I was saying, Toronto, they're in first place 3 games ahead. They're 9-1 in the last 10 games. The Yankees and the Rays are 3-7.
Yeah.
So that's where, but you see Boston, they're at 8-2. I mean, they've even dropped a game back from Toronto, but they're still 8-2 in the last 10. So I do agree with what you said, Dupree. You can sit there and see things on what they got going on. We know once it gets towards the end of the season, if they are not in playoff contention, you will see a lot of September call-ups that are getting more playing time. I do think Philadelphia is going to continue to run that division,
right?
But that second half surge, I really do have a feeling of the Braves. They showed this a couple years ago when they won the World Series in 2021. They were actually right around the same exact record, and all of a sudden they went like, hold on, we got to do something. The injury bug has killed them drastically. They have 4 original starters on the disabled list right now.
Wow.
So when you got stuff like that happening, I mean, offense has to pick it up.
Yeah, I think the Phillies always hit like a slump too, usually in the second half, which as a fan can be irritating at times, right? Because it's just like you start off so hot, and then we either get so far in, even in the second half of the season, or into the playoffs, and it's just like, where did our team go? Where did they dismantle? But yeah, I agree with your statement on that for sure.
Yeah. Seattle, I don't see them. They're just going to stay right there. So Houston, I think, will take that American League West. I think the Cubs are going to end up. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I hope the Cubs lose. I'd rather see the Cardinals win that division. But I hope the Dodgers freaking lose. I hope the Giants come back and win it, and I can't stand them either. So.
With the West, it really looks like it could be anybody's game because they're only like a few games apart, 49, 51, 56. You only need just one spurt in one team, and it's there.
Yeah, that's what I said. The space is so narrow. It's a close gap for sure.
Yeah. So I think second half baseball is going to be fun. I love it. And I get to watch every single game that I want to watch. So I can't complain about that. So what else we got?
Yeah, so talking about Phillies and Giants, did get to tune into that game. So we did see the 16th walk-off inside the park home run. Can we expect to see more of these because of the ballpark dimensions? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to clarify. It's not the 16th walk-off inside the park home run. It's it's the 16th walk-off inside the park, yes. But it's also the third by a catcher. The first time it's been done in 99 years.
Wow. What a record.
To have a catcher to hit an inside the park walk-off home run. I was actually talking with a coworker today, and we were just having this conversation. This is what makes baseball so great to me is you have the different dimensions. It's not like football where everything's the same. You've
Right.
got, it's like, no. You truly do get a home field advantage when you're, for the Giants. Um, when you look at teams playing at home that are actually right there, the Giants are 27-18 at home. They're 24-25 on the road. So you two get to see, I mean, the Cubs 30-16 at home, 24-21 on the road. So you get these ballparks that have these dimensions and the uniqueness, like what happened with sorry, what was his name?
Patrick Bailey.
Patrick Bailey, yes.
Yeah.
So Bailey hit that last night, and it looked. I was watching it live, and I thought it was gone. I'm just like, dude, he just hit a
Yeah, it bounced off
right
kind of different when it came off of that wall.
And that thing hit. I'm just like, where the heck? I'm like, it's gone. I said, he that dude. I could have made an inside the park home run at a 270-pound man because there's a reason why at Oracle Park for the Giants they call that triples alley because pretty much everybody is going to be guaranteed to get a triple if you hit something in that gap because the way it's formed and the way it bounces. But that wasn't the only inside park home run that we saw yesterday. For a lot of people who don't know, the Athletics who currently are playing at Sutter Field in Sacramento before they go to Vegas were playing against the Braves. And first batter inning, second pitch of the game, outfielder misplayed the ball just right. Next thing you know, inside the park homer from a leadoff hitter. Is it a little bit more expected? There's a reason why he's hitting leadoff. He's the fastest guy on the team. Compared to having your number 8 hitter with Patrick Bailey, and a catcher like we've talked about. Catchers either are great defensively or great offensively. He's more of a defensive guy, but to do something like that, I thought that was a pretty amazing feat. But what do you guys think about dimensions? Do you guys think they should go back to being normal, like the old school way where everything was very similar, or do you guys like this new style?
I'd probably say go back. I think once you start putting a lot of I know you're supposed to change with the times, but I feel like if I would probably vote to go back to what it was.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't really fix it. Because the new thing is going to start making complications, and then what's going to be a home run and what's not, and what's going to be this and that.
Oh, that's one of the biggest controversies that I think. To me, I think they need. They actually finally took out the rule because before, back in the day, you usually see it at all these major league parks. There's a stripe at the top of the padding at the outfield wall.
Yeah.
If it hits up on the top of it, even if it bounces back in, it's considered a home run.
Right.
But to me, it's like, no, you need to go ahead and just leave that at the very top if you're going to make that call. Because now they're starting to put it where it's 6 inches down on the top of the wall. So you're seeing it on the face. Well, is that a home run or is that not? No, it's not. They just have it this way. They can see the color variation. Okay, yes, this is where it hit. I'm right there. I do like the old school way. But I also do enjoy the fact being that you are getting to see a lot more things. I would rather have the dimensions change than all these other stupid rule changes. That is for sure, because to me, it's ruining the game. We got the mobile sitting there saying it's the new style of baseball. I'm like, I like what Dupree said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Nope.
Small ball used to run. When you were in the National League, you always relied on small ball. So you had your pitchers bunting a lot, squeeze plays, things like that. In the American League, it was a home run league. Well, now, there's still ways to find. One of the things that the Giants, and I like to use the Giants as an example because they have one of the more unique ballparks. But the other thing that they do is they take their foul lines on the infield and they actually slope them inwards. When they had, a few years ago, when they had a couple guys that were hitting, first and second, but they were big time bunters. So you want that ball. You don't want that ball to go foul. So they made it and it was sloped back inwards. And so they were practicing. You would see those guys a lot just running it right down that line. And that was their goal. I just wanted to stay on the line.
Right.
And so there's ways you can make things change, and give yourself that home field advantage. But I think it's starting to to get a little drastic on certain stadiums.
Yeah.
And Oracle Park, honestly, being one of them because of that triples alley, the way that it's designed. Chicago's got the ivy out in the outfield. I love looking at the ivy. Ball goes in there. Guess what? Put your hands up. Ground rule double. Fenway has the green monster. You got to hit, to hit a home run out to left field. You got to hit a ball, even though it's only 320 feet. And yes, for some, 320 feet seems like a lot. But those that have played 320 is like, okay, that's when you know what you're doing. It's pretty normal. But you got to manage to hit the ball 320 feet. But you also got to make sure you're hitting it 27 and a half feet up in the air. So you got a 27 and a half foot tall wall that you've got to clear. In Houston, out in center field, have you been to the ballpark in Houston?
I have.
So, think of, you go out to center field, it's flat, running out there, then all of a sudden they got that hill that it's immediate.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It's like, hold up, what the heck? I mean, how many people are going to get injured? I have seen 3 guys since they built that stadium that ended up tearing either some type of ligament or major injury because of that stupid hill. Find a way to, you don't need to, let's go ahead and put this stupid hill going all the way up. No, we don't need that, but it gives them an advantage.
Right.
So I'm
that
all
makes
for getting
sense. I always wondered about that little slope.
Yeah, no, it's just how they do it to give themselves that home field advantage. When it comes to football, your home field is your fans. Seattle has the 12th man, as they call it, which also comes from Texas A&M. Neyland Stadium has the loudest ever decibel reading. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it's the second loudest. Michigan has the loudest in college football at 127 decibels.
Wow.
Tennessee came in at 120.1. I mean, so they're right there. I mean, that is, what's the word? That's eardrum blowing. I mean, it gets that loud. Like, you got guys that are standing next to each other that can't hear each other. So that's how in football, they get their home field advantage. Baseball, you don't get that. You have to find another way. I mean, there's always going to be someone better, and so that's where they're just trying to help with these things. So we got the mogul saying that you're lying about being in, going to the Houston Stadium, going to Minute Maid.
I've been to the Astros.
But no, so what are you guys looking forward to on the second half of baseball?
Competition. These are all these games are really close when it comes to most of the leagues. Yankees and Blue Jays, Giants, like all of them are really close, and their home games are really close. So it's going to be just the competition. You want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, just because I am a Phillies fan, I think I really want them to lock in second half, get to the playoffs, and actually get to the World Series this year. I think it would be so amazing. We just came off a Super Bowl win. Let's bring home another trophy. But that's kind of how I see it for my team specifically.
Yeah. See, me, I mean, I want to see people. I want to. For me, I would like to see a Detroit-Atlanta World Series. I would be in heaven. I do root for both teams. I have family, that played for the Braves. That's why I'm a Braves fan. I grew up as a Tiger fan, seeing the original Tiger Stadium, and just fell in love with it at 9 years old. And so, yeah, my dream is the day that the Tigers and Braves have never played in a World Series, and the day that happens, I'll be like, I don't need to live in a place for a month. I'll go move somewhere else. I'm getting tickets to the World Series to go see that. I'll tell you that right now.
Left lung.
I'm like, I'm good. To go see Detroit, Atlanta, I wouldn't care where it was
I don't need that lung. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've experienced, when Comerica Park opened up, I flew out there, and I was a grown man crying, to seeing something. People like, man, you're crying over a baseball game, but yet you just had I literally, it was, I had just gotten married to my ex-wife, but I had this trip planned before we even got married, because it was a spur of the moment thing. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, by the way, we got married 2 weeks ago, but I'm still going out to Detroit because I already got my tickets bought, and I left her. I'm like, I'm out, peace. I was gone for a week, and I went to go visit family out there, and they looked at me and they said, you just got married, you left your wife who is pregnant with your youngest daughter, with your youngest child, to come out here for a week, and you're crying, but you did not cry when your child was born. When your first one was born, I'm like, no. I said, this was more beautiful to me. No offense, I'm a baseball guy.
Yeah. Mark's
So
definitely a baseball fan for sure.
yeah, so I geek out on those things. I love statistics. I love numbers. To me, I love chess, and baseball is playing chess. It's not like the other sports. You have to have some type of intellectual IQ to understand, what's going on. And that's why so many people think, oh, baseball's so slow. Baseball's boring. No, it's because baseball is too smart for you. You don't have a high enough IQ.
Right.
That's my answer to that. And I can sit there and give you numbers because everyone's complaining, oh, baseball's too slow. I'm like, they need to make it a game go faster. They sped it up 8 minutes, but yet baseball still is the fastest. It still finishes sooner than football.
Mhm.
Football, a game is what, 4 hours long to play 60 minutes. It takes them 4 hours to play 60 minutes of football. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, that's absolutely absurd.
It's really just the ads. It's not.
That's what it is.
Really, it's
And
all
the timeouts and the flag.
Exactly. Hold on. I got a 25-second time clock. I got a 40-second time clock.
And then here's the ad.
Exactly. I mean, that to me, it's like, no. It's because this generation has gotten, boxing back in the day compared to UFC. You're going to ask an older person like myself, I'm always going to take boxing. But this one, most of the generation now is like, give me UFC all day long, because boxing is the same thing. It's chess. UFC is I just got to get one lucky shot. Football, I got to get one lucky catch.
What's your favorite stadium food?
Stadium food. Ooh, it depends on where I'm at.
Okay.
To be honest, it depends on where I'm at. I would say we got down south Philly show saying, what's good? What's up, brother? We appreciate you hopping on here.
You doing?
So stadium food, I mean, man. See, like if I just went to Oracle a month ago, like if that, a month ago.
What do you always get there?
I know, I'm like
garlic fries. I'm getting me some garlic fries, some chicken, But see, I pay for better seats. So when you go to, most of the time, if you're not paying for like the luxury seats as they call it, within 3-4 rows of the actual field, you're getting your basics, your hot dogs, your pizzas, things like that. Which, don't get me wrong, you can't go wrong with them. But when you sit in the luxury seats, yeah, when you sit in the luxury seats of stadiums, not only are you getting the experience, but like you walk in there, it's like, hey, when you go to a regular game, you can get a beer. Mm-hmm. Well, when you go there and those luxury seats, you get access to a full bar.
Right.
You get access to a wine bar, you get access to sushi, you get access to, so I mean, that's where I'm like, dude, it depends on where I'm sitting. If I'm just going to a quick game, just give me a, good old fashioned chicken strips and some fries. I mean, that's what I always stick with, just because it's easier.
What about you, Dupree? What's your favorite?
Go-to's always been the pizza, or the hot dog.
Kind of guy right there.
Pizza or hot dog.
Yeah, see, that's how you can tell he's not really black. I'm the one that's going after the chicken, and he's like, "Oh, give me pizza."
Anytime there's pizza, that's my type of people.
Yeah, see, I grew up with an Italian family, so we ate a lot of pastas. I'm just like, no, I'm good if I don't have pizza. If I want pizza, I'm like, no. There's a place here in town where Dupree is originally from. VIP Pizza is what it's called. Yeah. And they have a chili verde pizza. I'm just like, yes, please, give me that all day long.
That one is a good one.
We got so down south sitting there saying, what's absurd is the fact taking 4 hours for the first round of the draft. Yeah, I agree with that one. I also think it's absurd. The fact is that Major League Baseball has like 27 rounds to complete the draft.
Ugh.
It is definitely a long day, but there's also a lot more. It's not like the NFL in that aspect where you don't have a minor league team. Baseball's trying to fill minor league teams also. In football, it's just you just go to the Canadian Football League, you go to the Arena Football League, you go indoor football league, crap like that. Down south also says he is a soft pretzel guy. Soft pretzel, man. Like
Soft pretzels from Philly. Chef's kiss.
I don't know. I mean,
I like a pretzel every now and then. So
Okay.
if it ain't got cinnamon and sugar on it, I ain't touching it.
Okay, because see, that's my type of guy.
I'm just like, give me cinnamon and sugar, and I'm good to go.
of course.
You got the mobile. He's sitting there saying Dodger dog. Well, he's delusional. I'm like, I'm gonna keep it PG and say, don't worry. We understand.
I won't ever try a Dodger dog.
We understand. You like,
no, whatever.
I'm gonna leave it PG, and I'm gonna sit there and say, we understand you might like that foot long glizzy. But I'm just gonna keep it at that. I mean, that's why I'm like, nope, I'm good. But no, there's always good things. I mean, are you, when you go to a game, do you have to have a beer or you want a glass of wine or just a soda?
I'm not a beer drinker for sure, so I'm a soda kind of girl.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Just give me the souvenir cup, even though I got to pay $20 for it.
For sure, yeah. I'm actually going to the Phillies Rangers game when the Phillies come down here, so I'm looking forward to it. A lot has changed at the new stadium. I think I've been there once since they've opened our new stadium. Now, don't get me wrong, the new Ranger Stadium, I really prefer the old stadium, outdoors. It's a vibe. I'm kind of like you, Mark. I like a lot of things that are still classic and old school and things like that.
It's what makes it, that's what made it baseball.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I remember even when I played, people used to make fun of me because I was the guy that wore the big baggy pants with the stirrups, with the socks pulled all the way up to the knees, and it's like, dude, like really, I'm like, yeah, exactly. I wore the long leg socks, everything like that. So that was my style, and people were just like, like seriously, we're rocking this style now. I'm like, I don't rock that style, and everyone used to always get mad. It's like, no, you got to have these. I'm like, nope. I was always different. I mean, I had my traditions. I do believe in you're doing good, don't change it. So if I had a hitting streak going, I was the guy that I didn't wash my socks. But I will say this though. Let me clarify that. I always had a regular pair of socks on underneath. So It's not like so I always had a second pair of socks.
Like athlete's foot much?
Yeah, no, I always wore a regular pair of socks under, then I pulled my team socks on, my leg highs. But I always was unique because our colors, we saw in our meeting Mikey wearing a Western hat. That's my alma mater. So our colors, red, white, and blue. Same coincidence, Sports Lounge Media, it was always something to do with because of supporting our country. Everyone else wore black cleats, but I was the one guy, it's like, or they wore blue cleats, the navy blue. I'm like, no, I used to rock one red, one navy blue. They were the same cleat, just a different color. But that's where I was just like, no, you don't stand out by fitting in. And that's what helps, you see guys, I can use this name being, you being from Texas, but a lot of people know when it comes to batting stances, Jeff Bagwell had one of the most unique batting stances of all time. People might not remember the name, but as soon as they see that stance, it's like, that was the guy from that. I know who that guy is.
Yeah.
I remember when they went to the World Series against the White Sox, and Bobby Jinks, ended up winning it for him, and the White Sox won the World Series. But they were known as the Killer Bees, Bagwell, Biggio, and Bell. And they rocked this long giant. It was like, we're just letting it grow. And they were rocking a goatee that was probably going like a solid 8 inches long. Like, nope, until the World Series is over, this is what we're rocking.
Right.
So traditions and just the customary things like, hey, this is working for me. I'm not going to change it.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy about baseball. But football, you don't see that. Basketball, you don't see that. People are always trying to change things. Stop changing things.
Mark is definitely not a fan of change.
I can't stand change. I hate it. I'm just like, no.
Red flag. Don't change now.
No change. There's no change. Even at work, they get mad. And all of a sudden, they start changing something. Nope, put it back. Like,
Yeah.
No, don't like change. Can't handle it. Again, Dupree said it the best. Just a little bigger. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So, Major League Baseball, stop trying to freaking fix things that don't need to be fixed.
Or stop trying to be like the NFL. I feel like when we were talking about like all that stuff, I feel like it's starting to.
The
NFL changes everything.
Yeah, you got the politics side. I mean, I enjoy the good the Memorial Day hats, the Father Day hat. I mean, now it's like, dude, I can't even keep up with what hats I need, because you got a regular season, you got your home hats, you got your road hats, you got your 4th of July hats, you got your Memorial Day hats, you got your Mother's Day hats, you got your freaking Armed Forces hats. I'm like, what the heck are we got going on? Hold on, I got a Sunday hat, we got a City Connection hat. I'm like, dude, I gotta buy like 15 hats for my team.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. I mean, only hats that never change is your home hats and your road hats. Every other year, all those extra hats, they're all changing. But that's why I like to rock. I'm like, nope. I'll rock with the regular, good old fashioned. Give me the home hat. Give me the road hat. I'm good. I do buy the other ones if I like them, but I hardly rock them. I mean, that's where I'm just like, I just like how it looks. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to stop all this freaking. I mean, just like football. Football does the same thing. What do they have? Salute month, like everyone, but yet there's not even an actual. Their uniforms are the same. What do they change? Only difference is what their sweatshirts.
On the thing.
Yeah, they have like emblems. I think is what.
So they put an emblem. That's the change. I mean, that's not change.
For like breast cancer awareness, there's always the emblem right here.
Yeah, you got that. It's like, why?
Or the helmet too.
Yeah, why do they have all these? Is the only type of cancer that's in any sport is breast cancer? No. I can speak from experience. There's other type of cancers, people.
Yeah.
But no, only thing that ever gets exposed is breast cancer, because they want to support women, because they're trying to find ways to bring women into sports. That's exactly what they're doing. And I'm just like, no, let's bring veterans also into sports. Okay, you can find a way, but I don't know. All sports need to stop with this stupid change crap and quit making so many uniforms. So, but no, that's what we got for tonight. I don't know. I just want to thank our sponsors again for hopping on here. And of course, before we go, we are going to have our lovely Sarai talk about her foundation that she has.
Yeah, so Hearts and House. You can click on the QR code. It'll take you to our website, and there you'll learn that we are a nonprofit organization. Within our area, the DFW area, we do take in a lot of abandoned dogs. We basically provide shelter, bedding, get them, healthy again if needed. And then we find them their forever homes. At times we do transportation. We have a lot of adoptable dogs and cats on our website if you're interested in any of them. We have two specifically. We have Cassie and Eve that actually have sponsorships already on their adoption fee. So yeah, click. You can always click the QR code, take a picture. It'll take you straight to our website. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I'm here to answer them. But yeah, definitely feel free. If you can adopt your new best friend, then there's also a donation tab that will allow you to donate to their bedding costs, to their food and supplies that we provide to all our fosters that are fostering the dogs until we can find their forever home. So yeah, take a picture of the QR code, visit our website, and yeah, let's make a difference.
All right. How many dogs do you guys have right now that are up for adoption?
Yeah, currently we have an intake of, I believe, 7.
Okay.
And then we have 3 cats. Yeah.
So why not
Um,
just get rid of the cats and just add a couple more dogs?
yeah,
Sorry,
I
I'm not
mean,
a cat person.
yeah. The dogs that we see a lot more often are going to be like either pit mixes, husky mixes. We do have it's hard, especially in our area, just because we are out in the country. We do see a lot of abandoned dogs. A lot of them have special stories. It's definitely encourage everyone to go visit the website, learn more about their stories from being left outside of a home while movers are moving the family stuff and not taking the dog, to being leashed at a park with a cage and food. So there's just a lot of different stories, heart-touching stories. We just want what's best, right? We are even thinking about maybe trying to get together with organizations out in Kerrville. There was a lot of misplaced pets that way as well. So we are also working with them as well to kind of see how we can support in that area of tragedy.
Okay. Now, with everything that's going on over there, do you guys feel that you're going to start seeing more animals because of the situations with the floods and in that area? Are you guys trying to go closer to help and try and see what you guys can do?
Yeah, I think right now they're doing such an amazing operation over there with the, of course, the deceased dogs. They are burying them and giving them proper burial, but also a lot of the ones that they're finding, they're getting them vetted. A lot of them are scared and terrified. So they are definitely getting them vetted and stuff. We're just trying to help out if there's displacement, if they're needing fosters at the time or anything like that. We're more than happy to help out with that. But I think they're doing a great job, to be honest. I think a lot of people that are on the ground over there right now are really helping out a lot of the animals, even the horses that are displaced, to be honest.
I was going to say, I mean, you got hearts and howls, you got hearts and meows. When are you going to start hearts and hooves?
And that might be a little bit harder to find a foster for.
You can foster a horse.
The upkeep, the barn, the stable.
They just got to run out free. You're talking to a guy who grew up on a ranch, so I was used to that stuff. I mean, I raced. We were taking care of 75 horses every morning. I'd get up at 4:00 in the morning to go feed and water them. You want to talk about a lot of work? That's definitely a lot of work, but just let them run free. All you need is border fence.
We have a lady on our team that used to have a ranch, and it's funny because when there's cattle out, she goes and calls the owner of it, because they're marked and things like that. So we take care of all the pets here. We love all the pets. So
I mean, especially the dogs. Especially the
dogs. The dogs are special. The cats are special too. We try to keep that population, that stray population, under control. But
I can say I have about 8 cats here at my house. If you all would like to come pick them up, just to get them off my property, come take them, because
our main goal is just to get those cats, fixed. Help out.
Yeah, well, I will say this. So these cats that are around my house, they are fixed. We've got my neighbor. That's what she does. She spends a lot of time, rehoming animals and things like that. She has right now, I think, in her house something like 15 dogs. And this is in the city. Okay. So this isn't a city home. It's not like, oh yeah, they can run. She's got a pool in the backyard. And I'm like, nope. But they got kennels. They're all taken care of. But good gosh, I'm like, hey, I love dogs, but y'all need to shut them up.
Sure.
But the cats, anytime there's a cat that's loose, she catches it, gets it, fixed and stuff like that, but then puts it back out. And it's like, no, but why don't you just stop feeding it? If you're going to feed it, freaking keep it in your house. Well, the dogs don't like the cats. Well, neither does this human. I was like, I don't like them in my yard.
Yeah,
but
sure.
No. So again, check out Hearts and Howls, ladies and gentlemen, and see what they have to adopt, especially those that are in the Texas area, and find ways to give. It is very expensive when it comes to taking care of animals, but people that have hearts to take care of these, it is one in a few. So please take the time to donate. It is a tax write-off when you do donate to the Hearts and Howls. And so, help them help you. And again, to our sponsors, Number One Sports Fan, Cali Built Graphics, Brian Martino Construction, and of course the Mogul brand and the Diamond Collection, which again, hit up the Mogul brand at Diamond Collection, powered by TMB.com, and put in the sports lounge to get 20% off. So we thank you guys again, and we hope you all have a great night, and you all be safe out there.